Hey everybody, this is JR2576. With the influx of new people, I've seen a lot of people asking about making their own puppets, whether it's using the puppet that you can grab from the menu, this one, the blank puppet. There's also people that have created their own puppet, well, sculpture. It's all one piece, and they wanted to make it into a puppet. So I'm going to show you the 3 different ways I've made puppets. Alright. So if you have one that's a full sculpture already, like this, it's all one piece, you have to cut it. So what I do is make multiple copies. Go into one, the cutout tool, and you cut off the pieces separately. So like that arm, there you go, there's another arm, and then you go in, delete, so just do it like that. Delete the extra pieces. So now I have 2 arms. Then I went into him. Say like that. Just delete the extra pieces. That would be his body. Say his legs. His head. And then just go in and delete the extra pieces again. So now I have his legs, his head, his body, and his 2 arms. Which is what I did here. So everything is separate. Then I went in and I added bolts. I used ball joints. The key to this is making sure the joints are in the center of the mass and that the yellow is into the part that doesn't move. So that would be his body, because I want his legs to move, I want his hands to move, and I want his head to move. So the blue is the one that's going to make it move. Yellow is the one that's going to keep it stationary. So that's why all the yellows are going into the body. Now, to get this to work right, you got to select all the pieces, go into the tweak menu, collides with. Since I don't have anything labeled, I'm just going to click unlabeled so it doesn't click with the unlabeled. If you have others, if you've named different parts, you can shut off all these collisions so that way the leg won't collide with the body, the arms won't collide with the body or the legs. While it's still highlighted, I take the puppet and bring it onto another puppet that I brought in, and I scope in once. So now the puppet and that puppet are in the same instance, I actually delete this puppet. Bring him over. So he's actually part of this logic now, because it has to do with the platform. Now, when you make your own puppet like this, you have to shut off procedural animation, procedural walk. You have to make your own animations for that when you're doing your own puppet in this manner. You also have to tell the puppet the pieces. Now, since it's a basic puppet shape with the only 2 legs, because you can do the arm, you know, like the forearm, the upper arm, the hands. You have to connect the pieces. So like my head, I click on that. That's my head. This is my chest. It's also my belly. It is also my pelvis. And then the arms, I do the upper and the forearm. And then I do it with the legs, the thigh, the calf, and I do the heel. Same thing here. And if you hover over, you can see which ones you've already connected because it highlights green. Now, because of the puppet, when I walk, it's not going to work right because there's no animation because I shut off the animation. So I'm going to bring in the timeline. Do a keyframe. Now, I've seen this too, and I'm going to point this out too. So when you're recording, there's 2 different ways. So if I hit R2, you get these lines. All right. And then if I hit L2, you get lines. The difference is R2 is positional recording. So it will record where that object is in the scene. L2 records the rotational. So I'm going to actually put, so like I want to rotate it. Rotate his legs, like so. Now, I suggest just copying that keyframe, finding it, because when you copy it, it saves the position they were before, so you have an idea of where the position is on the previous keyframe, and then you can change it. So now I'm going to put this one forward, put this one back, like so. And then, because it's a cycle, I'm going to just copy this way. Now, because I want it on a loop, so when I'm pushing, it keeps playing it over and over again. So like so. So now, when I actually possess the puppet, his legs move. Oh, fell off. I have all my guys following me. I have the springiness set to 50, so that way they spring back right. There you go. See, because I don't have the stuff set on him properly. Oh, that's what it is. Sorry about that. I forgot to pick up a wire. So when he's walking, it turns on the keyframe. See? So he walks. Now he's only up that high because that's how I placed him. You have to bring him down. So so that way he walks. And I still have the jump and all that stuff because I have the puppet logic. Alright, so that's how you make a puppet from one single sculpt. Another way, and I have another video on how I made a multi-legged puppet, and what I did was actually crafted each piece individually. So like this is one piece, that's one piece, that's one piece, and I connected them all, see, with all the bolts. And then I took this and dropped it onto the puppet like I did over here. And then all I did was sculpt directly onto this, and that's how I made this, my wasp. I made my own puppet, so that way if I want to make another insect, I can just use this. I saved this as an element. What you can do is once you select it, save as new creation, and that way I could just drop this in. Let's see, where is it? Oh, there he is. See? And I can just drop him in wherever I want. Scope in. So I'm going to go into his head. Some eyes. And now that's part of his head. Because you scope onto each piece individually. And then of course there's always sculpting onto the basic puppet as well. This I think is probably the easiest. Just simply because all the mechanics are already built into the puppet. You don't have to do your own animations or anything like that. You can actually just go into it and tweak it yourself. And that's how I made this guy and this guy. I sculpted it right onto them. Now, like when I did the chest, because it's all hollow, all I did was go into, say his chest area. You just turn off invisible. It's still there, therefore the bolts still work, it's just gone. So it still maintains the structure and the skeleton structure and whatever else the puppet might need, like with the legs or whatever. And I can still go in and say like him. I want to make him a little bigger belly. See? And that's part of his belly now. So there's different ways of doing it. I just seen a lot of people asking about single sculpture, You got to cut it away. You can make your own puppet like I did here. And like I said, I have a tutorial on how I actually made this. It's a little bit more in depth. And then you can sculpt right onto your puppet like this one. And those are the 3 different ways that I've made puppets. I mostly do it this way though. In a few instances I have done it this way only because it's not ideal to use the basic puppet, since this one has 6 legs. Or if you want to do like a dog or something, you might want to make your own puppet like this, and then you can use the 4-legged for multiple things, because you can always stretch like the pieces and change them, so you can make a 4-legged animal and use that puppet as a dog, a cat, a horse, an elephant, whatever you want to change it to. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching.